Hey, welcome back into another segment of Mindset Monday with me, Matt, where I share with you things over the last nearly 13 years of my life, these lessons that I've learned that have gotten me sober and helped me stay that way, helped me rebuild my marriage, become a better father, a better husband, a better man, really. And today I want to talk to you about the holidays and how difficult that can really be for guys like me. The holidays for a lot of people are the greatest time of the year. It is a time for tradition, it's a time for family, it's a time for being together and thinking of others. And it involves a lot of alcohol. I don't know why, but it does. It involves a ton of alcohol. And so if you're in recovery, it's not only a really stressful time, which we all feel that, it can be a really, really dangerous time. The CDC reports December as one of the most dangerous months for alcohol and drug related overdose and deaths. I don't think it's any secret to anybody why, right? As we feel so much stress, a lot of people's coping mechanism is drugs, alcohol. And so we end up using more than we should, and we end up harming ourselves and other people in the process. Treatment centers also see this. One particular treatment center in New Jersey reported the recidivism rates in December at 150%. 150%. This time of year is extremely difficult for people that are in recovery. And so, what I want to do today is talk to you about that. And not just that, not just tools for staying sober and how to reframe things and what you can do to protect yourself and how to recognize a slip before it ever starts. Let's talk about what spouses and families go through too, right? It wouldn't be till the wheels fall off if we weren't talking about those things. It's about the whole picture here. What do you do if you're a spouse or partner and you're with someone who's struggling with addiction right now? They're not really in recovery. Maybe they're thinking about it, but they're difficult. You're not exactly getting along. They're unable to control their use. And how do you set boundaries for yourself and for your children around the holidays? Can you include somebody in some of your most cherished events and also keep yourself and your children safe and sort of rule out the possibility that they could be ruined by a drunken outburst or by someone making a scene? We'll talk through boundaries. We're also going to talk through, if you're a couple working through this thing, how you can support one another. I've got a ton of experience here. Paige and I did this very thing. I remember what our first few holidays were like whenever I was getting sober. I remember what they were like for us as a couple and what both of us needed at those times and how we showed up for one another. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about if this is your first holiday without your person, if you have separated, if you have been recently divorced, this is a really lonely time. There's a lot of grieving going on. We're going to talk about two types of mindsets that are very present in people with this sort of thing going on and what you can do to reframe the future and find the brightest in this season. We're going to talk about all that today. I'm going to do my absolute best not to get sidetracked. I've been sitting here all day writing and researching, and I'm still trying to come up with different methods so that I don't just get lost whenever I'm recording, because I tend to do that. As many of you have listened, like you almost have to listen to the whole episode and wait for me to come back full circle. Instead of just nailing this stuff, because I'm not the best presenter, but I'm doing my best and I'm trying to get better. I'm using the same stuff that we talk about here every week on our show with intention, trying to be better for you, better for me, but better for you guys as well. So I think this is going to be a good one. It's going to be really relevant. The holidays are a really difficult time. You know, we've got Christmas right around the corner. We've got New Year's right after that. And man, these can be really awesome holidays, or these can be really, really rough holidays, depending on how prepared you are from either side of this thing. So I'm looking forward to it. It's really relevant. And thank you all. I want to thank you guys so much for all the support and appreciation you've given us over this last year. When we started the show, it was one episode per week, and we were just doing that. And it's a lot to be a content creator. Like, you're coming up with stuff that you think is helpful. You're filming these conversations, you're recording it, and you're doing audio, and then that's not where the job ends, right? Then you have to make stuff so that people know that you exist. And that includes social media. And then as time went on, like, we enjoy this and we know that people were getting something out of it. So we went from one episode a week now to 3 a week, and it became so much. And so during the holidays, we've scaled it back. And I know that's been weird for people in some ways, because it's part of your routine. Same way that I listen to shows, like, I can count on them X amount of days. And I look forward to them. But there's a balance that has to take place here, because after all, we're humans too, right? And like, we worked really, really hard in our lives to get to a place where we can really start to enjoy life, and we're not just doing damage control all of the time. And we don't want to forget about the people that are still doing that, because that's where we are of most value and of most help to people, which means everything to us. But we also want to be able to enjoy it ourselves. So thank you all for your support and still showing up for us and engaging with us and reminding us that the work we do is important, even though we're not getting as much of it right now. We plan on getting back to a regular cadence. It's been the holidays. It's been great, honestly. We went last night to the symphony, and every year the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, near where we live, closest major city to us, they have a Christmas movie, and it's always a Christmas movie that has a lot of orchestral music. And so with the orchestra parts of the movie, they have the orchestra there live. And so I guess they cut out the music in the movie and then they play as an orchestra over that. And so last night was Home Alone. If you're a Home Alone fan, man, this is amazing. It's the work of John Williams, the person that wrote all the music in Home Alone, those epic songs. And it was just the coolest experience ever. And it's things like that we're able to do on a Saturday evening, as opposed to like planning all of our content and like cutting reels and doing all that stuff, like just being a family. And so it's been really, really awesome. And I just want to give you all hope that like your life will get there too. Just keep listening, keep taking this stuff into action and working on your life. And I cannot see a reason why you will not be able to get to the same place. Maybe it won't look exactly the same structurally as our lives, but the reason that we share this is so that you guys can take something from it, extract what's helpful, and then execute it and build your lives. But thank you. Thank you all so much. It means the world to us. All right, a couple of announcements and then we'll get going with the episode. Hey, first, let's get SoberLink out of the way. Thanks to SoberLink, the sponsor for today's show. Been a sponsor now for over a year. They've been an amazing sponsor of our show, and we believe in what they're trying to do. SoberLink is the world's greatest accountability device that's disguised as a breathalyzer. If you're someone like me and you're trying to rebuild trust in your relationship, SoberLink can really help you do that, because it's not just your word anymore. And my guess is that your word doesn't have the same meaning that it once did, because I know that I tried, but I was lying a lot of the time because I was struggling so bad. I didn't want my wife to worry, so I would lie about how much I was struggling. And before you know it, I'm back to drinking, using drugs, and I'm struggling. Now, SoberLink is not a tool for drugs. That was just part of my story, but it is for alcohol. And so what is it exactly? It is a breathalyzer, but it's so much more than that. It's a device that you can set up an accountability network for. You set up people in your life that understand what you're trying to go through, what you're trying to do. This can be a therapist. This can be your sponsor. This can be your spouse or your partner. This can be your counselor, whoever, right? Anyone in your life that is supportive and understands what you're going through, people that you want to be accountable to, you put them in and they get notified every time you use the device. And that helps rebuild trust. Because when our words have lost meaning, we have to have data, we have to have action. And loved ones, this is really a gift that you give your loved ones too. I mean, talking about the holidays here, a gift that you can give them the gift of transparency, visibility, and let them know that you're serious this time. Because every time you use it, they know that it's you using it, because it's got military grade facial recognition technology. It is tamper proof, and it is the real freaking deal. SoberLink's an amazing tool to help rebuild trust. And if you're on the other side of a relationship, they've always been there for you, and they'll continue to do that. They're the gold standard in court. They are court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. You can get these things written into your custody agreements. If you're just trying to make sure that your children are going somewhere safe, SoberLink is for you. It used to be you would have to purchase the device and you'd have to get a monthly plan, and it was really expensive up front. The upfront costs were pretty steep. And if I knew anything about these sorts of situations where there's alcohol involved and there's addiction, finances generally aren't good. And so SoberLink looked at that and asked themselves, what can we do to give people the best start at getting into one of these things? What they decided was that there are no more upfront costs for a device. We used to have a 50% off coupon, no more. Now you can just rent them for as little as $19 a month. When you sign up for a 1-year plan, you can get the device, get going right now, $19 a month. It does require a 1-year plan, right? It's a plan, kind of like a cell phone. You have to have your device, and then you have the monthly plan. And the monthly plan isn't exactly cheap, but SoberLink is going to help you with that. Since you're a listener of our show, use our link, soberlink.com/wheels, and enter in for a $100 Visa gift card. They will send it to you just for signing up with the 1-year plan, soberlink.com/wheels, $100 off. It's going to help toward that monthly cost. It could help with the holiday expenses, Christmas presents, and things like that. Who doesn't need more money right now, right? So they're looking out for you. Go to soberlink.com/wheels. Next, we've got new merch. I'm wearing some of it right now. I love this shirt. Let me see if I can get the microphone out of the way. It says, hang in there, it gets worse. It's a cynical but funny way to look at things because this is the truth. Hang in there, it gets worse before it gets better. It generally does. That's the way that things work. Growth is not linear. Hang in there, be prepared for the worst. And it's a funny way to look at things. I think our listeners have an awesome sense of humor. We felt like this shirt was really fitting. It's one of my favorites. It's super thin. It's like a great shirt to work out in or to sleep in or hang around the house in or wear out, whatever you want to do. We've got 3 t-shirts. We've also got some hoodies. Got a couple of them over here with a few different designs. This is my favorite, actually. Got our logo on the front. I designed the front, the stencil there to look like an old wanted poster from like the 1800s. It's kind of like vintage looking. It's really cool. On the back, it's got this awesome, look at that giant logo. It says there's a fire inside, based off of a poem that I wrote called There's a Fire Inside. My way of reminding you, all of you, and my daughter, my wife, that no matter where you are in life, don't forget that there's a fire inside you and it burns from within. We sometimes feel like other people are going to complete us, and we can get so married to that outcome that we forget that we are beautiful, amazing individuals in our own right. And there's a fire inside of us, and we don't need other people to complete us if it's killing us. We've got water bottles. I've got another hoodie behind me, but I just dropped it, so I'm not going to grab it. But there's a black one too, because everyone likes black, right? It's an easy color to wear. We've got new stickers in, all kinds of stuff. If you want to support us, go to our website, twfo.com, twfo.com. You can order merch there. We've also got a link in our social media profiles. Buy me a coffee. If you just want to buy us a coffee, like you don't want any merch, you think it's ugly, fine, fair. I get it. That's fine. Not hurting my feelings. But you would like to support the show, you can donate as much or as little as you like. Or if you just want to be a listener and you're like, I'm not giving you shit, that's fine too. We love you anyway. It doesn't matter to us, but people ask. And so we set up these things for people to support the show if they want and the work we do. And we do appreciate every single freaking one of you that has supported the show. We've got a new camera coming in and some new equipment and things like that. Every dollar we've ever gotten from the show goes back into the show. We're not paid ourselves from the show to date. It's all going back into the content to make a better product for you all. And so thank you all for making that possible and for all your support, not just financially, but emotionally as well. It's been amazing. We've made a ton of friends and we've got the greatest listeners in the entire world. And it's awesome. So with that out of the way, let's get this thing going. All right. If you see me stretching, it's because my back is wrecked. Paige and I worked out yesterday morning and I was doing safe movements, stuff that's safe for my back injury and the surgery that I had about a year ago. And sometimes it just still gets aggravated. So if you see me just stop, and it just means I've got a pinch and I'm just like, trying to get through it. But hey, we persevere, right? We're going to get through this. So the problem of the holiday freaking pressure cooker. The holidays are a perfect storm of triggers, and it is the most stressful time of year. I was reading this article today and doing research for all of this, looking at stats and whatnot. You know how much I love data points. They said this was in 2016. The average American home was going to spend $750 during Christmas. And if you look at the rising costs, right, of everything over the last 9 years since then, that's probably close to double that. So that's a lot. That's a lot out of a budget. Like the financial piece of this thing alone is a lot. That is a ton. But then you look at everything else that comes with that, right? The expectations about what we're going to do and all the planning that takes place and all the different places you have to be and all the parties and everything you have to cook or the different outfits you have to wear whenever you're going somewhere, you're meeting people. Like there's just so much stuff packed into a short period of time. That alone is a lot for anybody. That alone. Like, let's just acknowledge that the holidays are really, really difficult. And I oftentimes wonder, I'll be looking like our calendar is no different than yours probably. It's like a lot of stuff, right? And I'm like, why do we do this to ourselves? But at the same time, I love it. I love this time of year. I really do. Like I love the magic that comes with it. I love that it makes me feel like a little kid again, especially once you have kids. It makes it, man, it's the greatest time ever. But it's also, I'm exhausted. We're all exhausted, and it's like we're stressed and man, we've got stuff piled up by the door, like boxes and crap like that we haven't gotten to. We have to find time to wrap this shit. And it's just, Paige and I started a few years ago just not buying anything for each other. And it's so much easier. I mean, we're at the age now, maybe this isn't an age thing, it's just who we are, but like, if I need something, I'm going to get it, and her the same. And we just don't buy each other gifts. And that takes a pretty nice amount of stress off of things. The kids we certainly take care of, and all kids, like my brothers and I don't buy for each other, the adults, right? But the kids, and there's a lot of them, the hardest people to shop for are little kids, I found. I don't know why, but like 3 to 5 year olds, because I remember having 3 to 5 year olds, and I remember what it was like when you would show up to Christmas and you would go home with like a car full of bullshit, plastic toys that are going to get wrecked and thrown away in the next year, or stuff that would just sit in your playroom or your kid's room and just collect dust and just pile up and just cause more clutter. And I don't want to be that guy, because, golden rule, like treat others the way you wanted to be treated. My kids didn't need more shit, really. They needed more like purposeful and useful gifts, but those are also the gifts as a kid you hate getting, like clothes, right? Everyone hated getting clothes. I hated getting those rectangular boxes that were about 3 inches tall and 20 inches long by 8 inches. And you knew that it was like a sweater in there, or a bunch of socks or some shit. But they're so difficult to buy for, man. And it's just all this to say that this time of year is really, really tough, the financial strain. And then let's talk family dynamics, right? The family dynamic piece of this thing is really difficult. You're thrown back into old family roles sometimes whenever you go visit home, whenever you say you've planned Christmas with your parents, and your parents, my guess is if they're anything like mine at all, they may be a little emotionally immature. And whenever you go home, you kind of get thrown back into the role that you had whenever you were 11 years old. And you'll find yourself like the dichotomy of you, where you're this proud, professional, responsible, mature adult at home. And then you go back home for Christmas, and it's like you're thrown into that same state, and you'll find yourself getting into petty little bickering matches and having to stick up for yourself, and you're treated like a child again. And it's just, that's difficult, right? There's old conflicts, old resentments, there's all kinds of stuff. It's like a time machine for your most dysfunctional self. That's what the holiday gatherings can feel like sometimes. There's also disrupted routines. I am a creature of freaking habit. That is how I have survived, I think, for probably the last decade plus. That's really what's gotten me by. I am a creature of habit. Exercise, drinking water, eating healthy foods. I have my spiritual meditations in the morning. I've got stuff that I read throughout the day. I've got places I go to and meetings I attend and people I talk to. And when I'm in my routine, man, I am awesome. I can do a ton of shit, and I can remain happy doing that. When there's travel or other get-togethers, or your routine gets broken, I get a little sloppy. I get a little messy. I get wrapped around the axle about stuff that I shouldn't. I don't know. And I think that so much of recovery from both sides of addiction, like consistency is your friend, and so that gets disrupted this time of year. And then I think you've also got constant exposure to stressors. Like, let's just talk about alcohol for one. It's everywhere, man. Like everywhere. Like any white elephant gift giving, if you don't know what that is, like everyone brings a gift, you pass it around. You can only trade a couple times. But anyway, there's always like Crown Royal or some liquor. Like the holidays are inextricably tied to alcohol. They are tied at the hip, and it's going to be everywhere. And it can be really difficult. And so all of these stresses push us many of us to relapse. They push us to places that we're not comfortable in our recovery. I was reading an article earlier. I say article. I guess this would be a scientific journal. Yeah. Stephen M. Melamis, and I will do my best to remember to link this in here, covers recovery in general and the stages of relapse. I thought it was pretty interesting. I'd never read this before. I agree with a lot of it. I really do. Talking about the different stages of relapse. And relapse is not just what people think. It's not just the physical part of putting the drug in my body. Relapse starts way before that happens, way before. There is an emotional state of relapse. There is a mental state of relapse. And then there is the physical state of relapse. And this time of the year, the holiday pressure cooker, it's a perfect storm of triggers, and it is going to touch every single one of those things. It is really tough. Let me go back down memory lane for a second here and talk to you about what this looked like for me. I think that the reason our show exists is because it's relatable. So let's get into some personal anecdotes first. I remember my last two Christmases when I was drinking and using. Whenever Paige got pregnant with our daughter back in 2012, we had talked about this since we were kids. We were like, we've been together since we were 14 years old. And as kids, we would dream about our family one day and what things would be like and, what pregnancy would be like and the different things we would do and like just imagining life together, like when you're just still so young and so hopeful. And one of the things that I had promised her since we were kids was that whenever she got pregnant, I would stop drinking alcohol with her. And like I swore, pinky promise, man, I'm going to do this with you. And I fully intended on doing that. She got pregnant. And I remember the day that I came home and found out she was pregnant, I walked through the door and I had like an 18 pack of Miller Lite in my hand. And she pops out of the bathroom right by our front entrance in this little home we were in. And she's got this pregnancy test. And I found out with beer in my hand that she was pregnant. That was, God, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. And I almost acted like, I don't know. It was like the rules had changed, but I hadn't really communicated it to her. Like in some ways I wanted to stop, but I really wasn't going to unless she said something. I was going to leave it up to her. Like I was going against my word. And this is kind of like one of those dishonesty by the words escaping me right now. Oh my God, I've been so bad all week long about this. Omission, right? Like sort of like deceit by omission. Like if I don't say anything, there is no problem. But we both knew that the expectation was in the air. And so she doesn't say anything because she's a lovely person and she lets me do me. And she's going to trust me to do the right thing. And she'll set boundaries accordingly because she knows who she is. But things were a little tense. And so this all came to a head around Christmas time. I think at this point she is like 4 months pregnant or 3 months pregnant, like early on, And so I was kind of slowing down, or at least giving the appearance that I was slowing down, not really slowing down because I was really hiding my drinking at this point too. But the holidays rolled around. We were on our way to her uncle's house. And on the way there, I was being the biggest dickhead ever. I was frustrated. I was angry at everything. I was mad at every other driver on the road. I was pissed off that we were going over there in the first place. And I don't even remember why. Like, I love her family and that side of her family. I was just like irritable and I was just angry and like discontent about life for some reason. I don't know why. And I remember we got into an argument about something and she started to cry, like, because I was being an asshole. And I started to make it about me. Like I weaponized what I was going through to make it about me. Like I've been just going through so much and I'm stressed and I'm trying. And then the words came out of my mouth and I'm trying not to drink and it's really fucking hard. And it was the first time I'd ever said it out loud, but I'd been feeling it for a really long time. I had been trying to stop on my own for a long time. I had always imagined that there would be some event in my life that got me sober. Maybe I watched too many movies. And the character arc is always boy meets substances, boy has a problem with substances, something amazing happens to boy's life and boy grows out of it. And why wouldn't that happen for me? But all these events came in my life and went and nothing ever changed. Like graduating from college, getting married, pregnancy, kids being born, all these things came and went and I was not changing. I was coming to terms with this in that moment that I was going to have to be super intentional and it probably wasn't going to be something I would just grow out of. And this problem was getting worse and it wasn't getting better. And I was not following the character arc that I expected. And like, this is the first time I verbalized it. It came out of my mouth and there was kind of a quiet in the truck all of a sudden. It was like, oh shit. Like now I've said it. Now she kind of knows that something's up and she's smart and she's going to infer from that a million different things. And she didn't get pissed at me. She was actually really, really sweet and she was really supportive. And she's the greatest person in the world. I mean that. Like in a moment where she should have been really upset that like I was being an asshole, she is so empathetic. She's like just worried about me. She's like, I know that you're struggling. I know you're going through a lot. And I was, but who isn't? And I want to be supportive of you. And I know you're doing your best. And like, you don't have to quit all at once. You can quit a little at a time. And I'll be there to support you. I'll do anything you need. And that night was like, I was white fucking knuckling sobriety. This was the first time I had really, really, really committed out loud to stopping, wanted to stop more than anything. And then battling internally with, I don't want to. Like, I can't. I need to feel different. I need to get fucked up right now. And like, that was the first time like I had really, really struggled with addiction. That whole night, I didn't drink, but I wanted to more than anything in the world. And she kept telling me, like, she would look over at me and I was visibly struggling. She was like, it's okay. Like, you can have a drink. And like, I knew that I couldn't. Like, I knew that I was going to have to stop. And I was just, like, I got one speed, man, and it's just go. And I didn't know how to like moderate it. And I'd proven to myself a million times that I couldn't. The following Christmas was the worst Christmas of our lives. So after that, I never did stop drinking to, support her. I maybe had times where I gave the appearance. I had let it out that I wanted to, but that was the one and only time until I checked into treatment that she knew that I had an issue. I justified and I minimized my drinking while she was pregnant. And I sold it to her, right? I'm a good salesman. So I sold it to her. I'm just going to have a couple now and then, but I support you. And anytime that we're doing something where I know that you're uncomfortable about it, I'll be there in solidarity with you. And that wasn't true. I was probably still fucked up on something else. Maybe I wasn't drinking, but I was doing something else. But I wanted to give the appearance, right? Then I needed her to still think that I wasn't a total ass. I didn't need her to think that I was struggling, certainly, because I didn't need anyone on my case about it. But the following Christmas, that following year was really difficult. That's like when I really started to spiral. My use ramped up. I couldn't stop. I tried to stop more times than I can possibly count. And I just found myself in the biggest hole ever. Like, our daughter was born that year in 2012. And like, things were all time bad, man. Like, at this point, I'm taking 50 or 60 pain pills a day. I'm drinking on top of it. I'm smoking weed in the evenings. I'm taking tons of Adderall, like ADHD medication, just to stay awake, because I like that stuff too. And I needed to be focused at work. And so I'm just like pharmaceutical speedballing, drinking and smoking on top of it. I'm just like, I'm using all kinds of stuff. And here I am with a little baby girl. And our first Christmas as a family, it's going to be hard to get through this, but our first Christmas as a family was like one of the lowest moments of my entire life, of our lives, I should say. Christmas 2012. We live in Texas and we rarely ever get white Christmases. And that morning we had a white Christmas. I woke up and there was a white Christmas. I also vividly remember not having enough pills to get through the day. And in my mind the night before, I thought, I will be okay. I will manage. I will smoke in the garage. I'll drink enough to counteract the effects of withdrawal. But I was taking so much at this time that I really couldn't. I would just go into withdrawal. I would get in, so much pain, and I would get cold, and I'd get, my nose would start running, and opiate withdrawal is horrible. And I knew that would happen pretty quickly. And so we woke up that morning. Paige wasn't feeling very well. And so here we are, this brand new family unit, me, Paige, and our daughter. And we're in our little house, and it's snowing outside. And you would think that with someone not feeling well, our plans generally went over to my mother's house on Christmas Day. And you would think that, given the circumstances, we would just stay home and enjoy a nice, cozy little Christmas together as our own little family. That's not what happened. I decided that I needed to go see my mother because my mother really wanted to see the new baby, that it was best for Paige to be alone to rest because she was just going to rest all day anyway. And she needed a day without the baby. I would take care of the baby and she could just be carefree. And I sold this shit to her. But the entire reason I needed to get out of that house was so that I could swing by the dealer's house on the way over to my mom's. My mom's was just a front for me getting more pills. And I went to our daughter's house. Went to the dealer's house. I remember parking the truck and running upstairs and grabbing just enough to get through the day and running back downstairs. And I left my daughter in the truck running on Christmas Day at a drug dealer's house. That's like a memory I'm really not proud of. But it happened. That's where it took me. And that's how I remember that Christmas. I remember driving over there in the snow, feeling like, holy shit, you're doing some of the things that you swore you would never do, that I could never see myself doing. And it was so much easier than I thought it would be to justify that and to minimize that. And I went over to my mom's house. I left Paige at home. I came back and there was a weirdness in the home. I'm sure Paige had felt abandoned. I'm sure she felt like I had made the wrong decision. I took, her baby girl away from her on our first Christmas as a new family so I could go to my mother's house. And like, what a weird violation of like priorities there too, It was awful. It was really awful. Christmas early on was a very haunting thing for me in early recovery and early sobriety. My first Christmas sober, though, wasn't a hell of a lot better in the sense of like feeling better because I was still so haunted by those previous Christmases. There was still a weirdness in the air, but it was better in the sense that I was sober. We were happier. We had more to be grateful for. We hosted Christmas at our house this time. We were together at the very least. But I guess in my mind, I had played up sobriety in general, that sobriety equaled happy. And that's not always true. Why would it? When does life equal happy? Just being sober guarantees that you're going to be able to process things in a healthy way. You're going to be able to get through things and feel all that stuff without needing to use drugs or alcohol to numb, but it doesn't guarantee happiness. And so I want people to, if I could give you any advice at all, if you're newly sober or trying to get that way, is that like your first Christmas or Christmases sober aren't about being happy and like making some storybook memory of a Christmas that you can remember for the rest of your lives. I think it's sort of about just proving to yourself that you can do it. I really do. I think that that's what I remember taking away from that first Christmas sober was like, I can do this. I can actually do this. Like I just proved to myself that I can do it. And I took some pride in that. I took some pride in the fact that I was there for my family and I was there at present and I was doing the things that I wanted to do, but I just didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel like I fit. And it certainly didn't feel like I thought it would. I thought it would be like magical and I would just know what to do. Like inside of my mind, there was always this idea of who I could be. And I never measured up to that. And that's kind of just the nature of me, I guess. I don't know if everyone's like that or not, but I remember feeling like that, especially around those first Christmases. Like in my mind at that age, I just imagined that I would have my shit together so much better than I did. And I didn't. And it's nothing to take shame in. It's nothing to be disappointed in yourself about. It's just the way that things go. And this is how we learn. And this is what learning's like. And this is part of, you have to go through this sort of thing. And I just want you to know that this Christmas, if this is going to be one of your first sober, it's about proving yourself that you can do it. And don't have crazy high expectations, but I can promise you this, it will be better than last. It will be better than the last one, but it won't be perfect. I'm not sure if I've had a perfect Christmas in my entire life, you know. I think that those are the expectations I put on this time of year that we all do. And inevitably, when we come up short, we feel like it was all for nothing, but it wasn't. There are still some amazing memories to be made. But let's get at the center of your plan, because here's one thing I do know. If you just carry on without some sort of a plan, it is unlikely to go well. And this could be not just from a use standpoint, right? I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to get drunk or get high because what we're about to talk about. What I can guarantee is that you may struggle more than you would need to. Having a plan is crucial in life, guys. Crucial, critical. I'm going to give you a plan. I'm going to give you some things to work through using the work of, oh my God, I forgot his name again. Sorry, Mr. Malemus. Stephen M. Malemus, who wrote an article in the Yale Journal of Biology and Medicine called Relapse Prevention and the 5 Rules of Recovery that I will try to link to you. So there are stages of relapse. Doesn't all just happen at once. We think that's the way it works. And so if you're worried about a relapse this Christmas, let's talk about what happens before that substance ever enters your body. There is the emotional stage of relapse. This is the first stage of relapse. And this is whenever you're battling your emotions. This is when you're really struggling to deal with your feelings. You're bottling things up. You're not talking about them. You are not taking care of yourself. So you're not sleeping. You are not eating well. You're not exercising. You have a greater focus on other people and their issues and how they relate to your own issues. There's a lack of involvement in recovery activities. So if this is like, if you're 12-step, going to meetings, or smart recovery, going to meetings, if you're just doing this kind of different, your own path, if this is therapy or reading or whatever it is that got you here, it is likely that you are not doing these things. One-on-one discussions with people, prayer, whatever that might be, right? This is the point at which you start to let these things slip and you will feel your emotions getting muddy. For me, this is when I start to get short-tempered. This is when I start to snap at stupid things. This is when I start to bitch about things that I really have no control over, like traffic or the weather or an email that I got and someone's perceptions or expectations. Like, this is when I start to bitch about things that are outside of my control. This is when I start to sound like a commentator on, let me see everything I can find wrong with the world. This is when my emotional state gets kind of muddy. And I'll be clear, I've been through two of the three stages of this in the last nearly 13 years. I haven't had a physical relapse, but I've certainly had emotional and mental ones. Like, recovery is not perfect, y'all. It's about, really, if it's about anything, it's about recognizing when you slip into one of these states and then you do something about it because you have a plan. And it's okay to struggle. Like, I struggle from time to time. I have weird thoughts from time to time about return to use. Like, this stuff pops in your head. Like, once you've been addicted, you can't erase those memories. And it's not a failure if you have the thought. It's once we start entertaining that thought, it becomes a serious problem, which is the second stage of a relapse, which is the mental stage of relapse. This is when, once we've lived in a state of emotional neglect for too long, we start to seek an escape from the discomfort that comes from that. Once you've been stressed out, you will just feel weird. I just feel like something's bubbling inside of me and I can't really tell what. I always felt like I had sunburn inside me or something, like sunburn on my not my skin, but somewhere inside, like on my heart or on the surface of my mind. It's like I'm easily upset. And once I've lived there for long enough, you can start to slip into the mental piece of this thing where you start to seek an escape from these sorts of feelings, which is generally what people do who struggle with substance use, is they will look toward that substance to give them that ease and comfort that they want. This is where the lack of emotional self-care starts to become a problem. This is when you start to have thoughts like, maybe I could use again now because I've been sober for a little bit. I've learned some things about certain substances I use. I know to stay away from those. Maybe I'll try another one. This is when we start to have bad fucking ideas. This is the stage at which this happens, is when we neglect ourselves. And now mentally we're starting to entertain, what would it look like if I returned to use? This is when that, as 12 step will say, like, the insanity returns. When we like, that is insanity, right? Like, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Like, this is where we're entertaining doing the same thing, but different this time. And this is the war that we fight in our minds, where it's like one half of us knows this isn't going to end well. The other half of us wants to try it so badly that we can't even describe it. And like, these two halves of us are fighting at this point, and it is terrible and it consumes you at times. And every time you have a quiet moment, it crosses your mind and you don't say anything about it, because then you would fear that people would think that you're struggling, or that maybe you have your own self-shame and that you're struggling. And so you don't say anything at all. And then it turns into, eventually, what is for many people a physical relapse. You start to bargain with yourself. You start to, you crave drugs and alcohol. You start to, you think about people, things, places that are associated with use. You minimize the consequences of your past use. You glamorize your past use. You forget about all the terrible shit. You start to bargain. You start to lie. You start to think about schemes to better control your use. You start to look for relapse opportunities. And then at some point you plan a relapse. And so when people say, like, I just relapsed, bullshit. It doesn't work that way. There are precursors to this stuff that, if you're looking at them, you can start to see them. And so, like, what long-term recovery is just generally being honest with yourself enough to know when this sort of stuff is happening. Because this time of year, I will be the first to admit that my emotional self-care starts to slip. I don't get to exercise it much because my routines are broken. I'm stressed out as shit, and I don't feel like doing anything that's helpful for myself. I just kind of want to wallow in it. Or me, I like to obsess on the problem so that I can fix the problem. And none of this stuff is caring for myself. And so eventually my mind, still to this day, will entertain the idea, hey, it'd be really awesome right now. But what I have at this point is a decade plus of experience to know that I don't have to entertain that thought and how ridiculous that thought is. And I can crush that thought rather quickly and get rid of it. Without a lot of experience, this stuff's going to feel new. You're going to buy into your shitty ideas. And that's what people a lot of times do. And that's why it's so tough to stay sober during the holidays. And so what can you do? Let's have a plan, guys. he lays out 5 rules for recovery. I don't know that I wholly agree with all of these, but I think that they're pretty damn good. We could elaborate on some of them, but I don't think that any of these need to be taken off the list. Rule number 1, change your life for the day. This means having a plan for every single event. So who are you going to go with? How are you going to get there? When are you leaving? Have a non-alcoholic drink or option available at all times. And an escape plan is not a sign of weakness. I had escape plans in early recovery. Paige and I would talk about this. We would have a code word, or you can have a signal. Maybe you tap your nose like a little spy or something from across the room. And what this signals to your spouse is that, like, I can't do it anymore. I've given it my best, and this is just it's too overwhelming for me. I can't do it. I tried and I can't do it. But having a plan to get out of a stressful environment before it gets bad is a great idea. Number 2, being completely honest. This is probably the most important thing in recovery, or maybe life in general, is just being honest. And it's not just with other people, it's really with yourself. The most dangerous type of deceit is self-deceit. If you're feeling triggered, tell somebody. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're having some of these old thoughts, we have to talk about this sort of thing. It's not a failure when we do. This is what recovery is like. Guys, I used to pick up the phone and call people all the time. Like, I didn't want to admit that I was struggling because I felt like I shouldn't be, I shouldn't be struggling. If I tell them I'm struggling, then they're going to say you're doing it wrong, but you're not. It's just a normal part of rewiring your mind and getting used to something new. Like, it is very natural to think about the old ways we used to handle these problems. It's just really dangerous if we don't admit that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, good grief, if someone's shaming you for that, get that person out of your life, because this is a normal part of recovery, just to have these sorts of thoughts every once in a while. Now, there is a difference between, like, desire, like, I want to, and I'm just not going to because, versus like being free from it, which is kind of what I'm describing, like being able to have the thought, but have a choice. Like, real recovery, my experience is that I'm no longer fighting it. Like, I don't fight this anymore. I still have the thought sometimes, but I don't fight it anymore. Surround yourself with people that get you to the place where you're free from it and you can talk about this stuff openly without them flipping out or trying to micromanage your recovery, or you feeling like a failure. Your spouse, your sponsor, your friend, whoever is in your support group, talk to people about this kind of thing. Don't try to white knuckle this shit. The moment you start hiding your struggles, the moment you kind of start planning your relapse in some ways. Don't do this alone. Live recovery out loud. It's far better that way. It's easier. It's also more helpful for other people. It's actually helpful for your spouse and your partner to know where you're at. It helps them, because otherwise they're left to only assume, and things just generally don't go well that way when we're not talking. Like I've always said, like, the most maddening thing in the world to me in the 3 years we've been doing the show, hearing people talk about their spouse. Paige and I always look at each other and I'm like, do these people not talk? Like, are you guys not talking? Like, this is wild to me. Like, you live in the same home. Like, you share DNA with children. You share bank accounts, but you don't talk. Let's start talking to each other, man. If you need help doing that, we've got episodes about that too. Therapists are out there. There's all kinds of people, but ask for help. If you're like in 12-step or something, go to extra meetings. If you're in therapy, get extra therapy sessions. If you've got a coach or something, book extra sessions. Surround yourself with people that you can get support from. This time of year, you need that. Have a list of people you can call or text or shoot an email to. Like, your support system is your lifeline. You need to use it this time of year. Use it. Don't just have one, actually take advantage of it. You're not putting people out that want to be there for you. You're just, I know what it feels like to have too much pride or to not want to scare people, but like, that's the kind of shit that leads to relapses and worse outcomes for you and them. So let's just use the support, guys. It's nothing wrong with struggling. God forbid, I struggle. Like, I'm not above it. I don't want you to be above it. Like, no one I've ever come across that I admire in recovery had a day where they didn't struggle. We all struggle. It's fine. But you also have to practice self-care. We talked about all that stuff, like taking care of yourself, getting good sleep, eating, exercising, whatever your recovery looks like, practicing some of those things. If that's a spiritual form of recovery, if this is cognitive recovery, if this is therapy, whatever it might be, practice that and take care of yourself and be gentle with yourself and understand, like, have a plan. I'm going to be gentle with myself. I've got to take extra effort to take care of myself. And it's not enough to know you need to do these things. Fucking do these things. Don't just talk about the fact that you know you need to have them, actually do it. If that means you have to put reminders in your phone to go to the gym and get 30 minutes on the treadmill, whatever it might be, or read this chapter of this book, or call so and so, do it. Actually do this stuff. Don't just think about it. Don't just entertain the idea. Actually do it. And don't bend the rules. That's his last rule. And I love this one. The holidays are not a great time to test your recovery and just think that one drink is going to work out for you. Like, don't mess with the recipe. Not this time of year. Don't do it right now. It is not going to end well for you. Go read the data if you don't believe me. If you want to think that you're the exception, just look at the data. You fall into that data. Look at the numbers of recidivism we get, the terrible outcomes we get from deaths at this time of year. Like, this is do not mess with it. Don't fuck with the recipe this time of year. If you're not ready to go to the party, don't go to the party. If you don't want to stay late because you're triggered, don't stay late. Like, you have to have boundaries around this stuff. Don't bend the rules. If your rules have been working, don't fuck with them. Don't mess with them. Now is not the time to start making exceptions. Those are the things I've done in my recovery to get through Christmases and things like that. I think that alternative drinks are actually really helpful too, like having something fun around. I think as a sober person, one of the things that's tough about watching other people on the holidays is like they're like having fun with experimenting with beverages and stuff. And it's not even the alcohol in them. It's just like, I'm just over here drinking water. Like, what else is there, you know? So if it's a diet soda, if it's an energy drink, if it's careful with those things though, but still, like, yeah, I had plenty of Red Bulls when other people had beer because it was something, right? Eggnog without alcohol, of course. Mocktails, whatever it might be, like have something. Keep it fun for yourself. Like, do things like that. That can be really helpful too. The code words or the signals can be really helpful as well. So having said that, with the signals and the supporting someone else, let's fall into this next segment, which is going to be the spouse that's with someone in recovery and wants to help support that, and also them support you back. So let's say that your loved one is in recovery and they're doing the work. Like, what is your role in this? Like, where do you end and they begin? We've had a lot of questions about this over the years, and we frankly don't talk about this a lot because we don't see it a lot, but we're seeing a lot more of it, I think, as the show grows. And I think it's awesome. We're getting more couples that ask questions like this, but we never wanted to sort of put a stain on the place that a lot of people come to when they're out of a relationship. But we're just going to be honest. Like, this is for everyone at different stages. And so if this doesn't apply to you, I can fast forward through it. I don't know, but shouldn't hurt you. It should be common sense stuff if you're supporting someone who's in recovery. Number one, you guys have got to be talking. You've got to be talking. Paige and I talked about this stuff all the time. We'd be going somewhere and I would acknowledge the fact, like, there's going to be a bunch of alcohol around. I'm new in this. Like, let's have a code, whatever it might be. We would have a code word a lot of times, and it was like a weird word. It could be like armadillo or something, whatever it might be. Or you can have a signal. Maybe you like give a kind of a hug symbol as I look across the room at you. And it means like, I need some support right now. And they come over and they hold your hand, they sit with you, whatever it might be. But just remember, like, you're not a savior, and it's not on you necessarily to make sure that they're doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. It's for you to emotionally support your partner like you would, even if they weren't in recovery. Can we just get back to that? Good old fashioned support in one another. You know, if you're in a relationship, this is like kind of why we do that. And for me, like the person who's in recovery, I would do the very same. One of the things that is the most supportive for your spouse when you're in early recovery is assuring them that you are doing what it takes to take away their greatest fear. And that is working your recovery. And so they generally like to have these sorts of conversations because they feel safe when you feel safe. And that's not codependent. That's just, good grief. Can we just get back to having some semblance of like interdependence in relationships and relying on one another, and like, what's wrong with that? Right? Have conversations with them about this kind of stuff, and also consider their needs, you know, like be aware of that. Be aware that it shouldn't all be about you, and what can you do to serve them just as they're serving you. And like, you know, like, this is what relationships are for. Like, nothing makes me feel better than being able to be there for my wife. Like, I'm the only person in the world that can do what I do for her. And I take a lot of pride in that. And I love that. And her for me. That's why she's my person. You know, that's why we chose each other. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, get back to that. get back to that sort of thing and start to talk to each other about what that means for you. I think a lot of times spouses are scared to death about having these kinds of conversations because they don't want to get labeled codependent. I just want you to forget about that word. Just fucking forget about it. Like here, we don't talk about it that much anyway. I'm not really sold on the idea. I think it does exist, but I don't think it applies to as many people as we think it does. I know that those people are out there, but I don't think it's as broad as we think. I think that, like, don't be afraid to have conversations with your loved one. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask what you can do to support them, and vice versa. Like if you're someone like me, like have conversations like, listen, I know that it's been a lot about me, but I want to make sure that you're cared for as well. Like, what can I be doing to help you right now? And they may have some ideas for you. Hey, we could talk a little less about you and a little more about me or about the kids. Here's what Paige would ask more than anything. Bro, I just need you to be present. Like you're out there. I just need you here. I need you here with me right now. And she wasn't being like a jerk about it. She was just acknowledging, like, more than anything, what I want is I want my family together for Christmas and I want you here with us. And I understand that you're struggling. I'm here for you, but you've got to make some effort too. And you've got to be present, which means you need to look at your feet and remember where you are. You might be thinking about what you've got going on at work or about all the stressors of life, but right here, right now, we are like at my mother's house and the kids are opening gifts and I need you in it, right? I need you involved in that. I need you here with me. I love to hear that kind of stuff. Like we challenge each other on a regular basis. And like, I don't know why we're together if we're not as a couple, right? That's what we should be doing. But support isn't hovering. It's not double checking. Hey, are you good? Every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes. It's not, babysitting their recovery, asking what they've done. Like there is a point at which you will see what they are doing and you have to be okay with it. And you can challenge them, but if they're not accepting these challenges, there comes a point where you have to lay off before you drive yourself crazy. And this is where we talk about, like, you can't control this. But there are plenty of couples that are doing what we did and they're working through this stuff as like with common sense. I want you guys to keep doing that and fuck all the rules that are out there. I hope that you know where you end and they begin and you don't get lost in someone else. Remember, there's a fire inside you. It burns from within. And I think that this is like the cold, hard truth is that you're not going to be able to prevent a relapse for someone else. You just can't. You can do everything right and that's still the result because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You can be loving and supportive and caring and still get a bad result. And it won't be your fault. It won't be because you failed. It won't be because you didn't do something right. It's just because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you have to understand that's not on you. And there's nothing you can do to prevent it. Like if there were special things, we would tell you what those were. We would let you know. We would let you in on that, but that doesn't exist. So boundaries are still going to be important here. And all the other stuff that we talk about, like don't over monitor someone, but have conversations, please. Like we're a couple, like what are we doing, right? All right. Let's talk about for the spouse in the trenches. This is for someone who is with somebody who's still in active addiction. Let's talk about the person who's in the most difficult spot imaginable. This is a person who's still in the trenches. This is a person who's dealing with active addiction right now. And this isn't about about a sober holiday for you. This is about a safe and a sane holiday. And that's going to be the win for you. So we've gone from how to stay sober, how to support someone being sober, to this person's not sober. What do I do? I'm going to try to hit everyone here. I know that there are a million permutations of this, but I'm going to get the most common ones. The win here is about staying safe and staying sane. And what I mean by safe, this is emotionally and physically safe for you and for the people you cherish most. This could be your children. This could be your immediate family, whoever can be affected by this turmoil and this chaos that addiction brings. And so the question that usually keeps you guys up at night is, do I invite them or do I not? And if I don't, am I just reinforcing their biggest fear, which is that they don't belong and they're not enough? This is a really difficult thing to deal with. I acknowledge that. I really do. But your job is to keep yourself and your children safe while giving someone else the opportunity to show up with boundaries. For people that are unable to respect boundaries, if they have been perpetual line steppers, this is a really tough thing to face, that it is not your fault if they are not around you at this time of year. It's just not. I know that you're empathetic. I know that you care. I know that the last thing that you would want is for this person to have their deepest fears reinforced, but they are a grown adult, just like you. They have choices. They have agency, and it is their choice. It was my choice to respect the boundaries of other people. If I choose not to respect those boundaries, I am in fact choosing not to be around people. It's not you, it's me. And this is the truth. It's a really tough thing to face, but boundaries are a safe and loving way to welcome someone in this time of year without causing harm to you or your children or to anyone else around. So let's talk about, I've broken this down into 3 tiers of invitations. The 3 tiers of invitations. This is actually a decision-making tool that you can use. So let's go with the first one, the full send, the full invite with boundaries. So this is for the person that is really trying. They're still functional. You invite them, but you set terms in advance. Terms meaning boundaries. You can say, you are welcome in our home. You can be here, but you are not welcome if you are intoxicated. There would be no drinking or drug use in this home. No negotiation. If you start drinking here, if you start to use here, you will be asked to leave. No argument, no negotiation. That's it. And that is not a threat. That is a promise in order to keep this environment safe. So there aren't any scenes. So this doesn't become a memorable holiday for the wrong reasons. This is what I ask. You can be present. You do these things. This is a boundary. This sounds like a demand, but what are you doing? You are saying, I will not be hosting you, right? These are the conditions I will host under, period. You're keeping yourself safe. You're not doing this to control them. You're not doing this because you want them to change. You are simply saying, in my home, where I feel safe, where our children are safe, these are the boundaries. I don't do it. I ask that you not either. You can be here. You cannot be doing this. And it's tricky too, because how do you really enforce that, right? You might need some support there. You might need other people around. If this is someone who might get hostile, you might need brother or an uncle or your father, someone around, right, who can ensure that this doesn't get out of hand, make sure they can't just steamroll you. Certainly don't want physical altercation of any kind, but for someone that's functional, generally this isn't going to be a problem. This is the boundary that you can't be doing this here, not going to have it. So you can still extend that invite without endangering yourself or your children. The second tier, this is the limited invite. This is like the cameo appearance. Let's say that this person's a bit more chaotic. There's been a bit more history here with this person not respecting boundaries. And there's a pattern of this that's been happening in your lives for quite some time. What I'm saying is that you kind of know how this is going to go. If the pattern is there, prepare for the pattern. Let's not pretend like this won't occur just because the date on the calendar. Let's go ahead and prepare what they've typically shown us, prepare for what they've continually shown us, which is that they're unable to be present for a full day. So we're not going to give them the opportunity to be here for a full day. We're going to offer a cameo appearance. Let's say 7 to 9 a.m. The kids are going to be opening their gifts. We would love to extend the invitation. There will still be boundaries. There will not be drinking or drug use here, but you can be present. If this is how you guys want to handle this time, I don't think there's anything wrong with it necessarily. Like at some point, you're going to have to co-parent anyway. But it's tricky, right? Like use your judgment here, use your wisdom, use your common sense. If this is someone that is a danger, it's probably best that they're not there. But if you just want to limit the damage, they can be there for a short period of time. If you are wanting to avoid your children feeling like they're alone on this day because the other parent's not there, this can be a helpful way to kind of integrate the two without exposing yourself or your family to undue harm with them being there the entire day. And the same thing, you give them a window, right? And they get to be part of it, but you're not subjecting your family or your children to the full day of the nonsense that generally comes that, they've shown you over time. So once again, you have boundaries. We're not going to give them a full day to cause problems. Last one, the separate invite. This would be protecting your sanctuary. This is for the person that might be completely chaotic or unsafe. This is the boundary that they will not be at the main family gathering. Will not happen. And this can be because of scheduling, right? Like all the family comes in, we get together on this night, and that's the only night that we're getting together. You will not be there, but we will make time to get together at some other point, right? Somewhere safe, somewhere neutral. It could be at a coffee shop. It could be at a restaurant. Maybe you get a banquet room kind of reserved off to the side where they can see the children or see other people, whoever, or see you. And they're not going to be in a place in your home. This is your sanctuary. This is where you need to feel safe. This is where your children need to feel safe. So maybe that's, Christmas Eve morning somewhere, or maybe this is after Christmas or before Christmas. but it's going to be in public. It's going to be for a limited amount of time, and it is on your terms. These are three different ways to handle this sort of thing. And then there's sort of a fourth as well, which is that things may have gotten so bad that you're not going to see them this year. I know this is really heartbreaking and this is really tough. I've been through this with someone in my life as well. And I know how hard it is, especially this time of year and with everything that this time of year stands for, right? Which is reconciliation, which is hope, perpetual hope, which is forgiveness, all of these things, right? But these things apply to healthy-ish family dynamics. I think that we sort of break the rules when we're talking about addiction and abuse. And there is a right time to say, no, we'll not be spending time together this year. And that won't be without a broken heart. That won't be because you just want to be mean or you want to shove it down someone's throat. That's because it has proven to be unsafe emotionally or physically for you and your children. And it's okay to say no. Will it suck? Yeah, for you. Will it suck for them? Yeah, probably a little more even. And is it going to, are you, this is where we struggle as spouses and partners, because you're going to feel like it's my fault that they're going to fall off now because I didn't give them access. That's not the way any of this works or recovery works. At some point, we have to toe the line. We have to walk the line of acting right and respecting other people's boundaries. If you continually make concessions, and what you're essentially doing is condoning that behavior over time. You can love someone, and I've shown you 3 different ways that you can go about this without fully exposing yourself to giving people's chances. And maybe you start with the least of these, tier 1, and you move down as you go. Maybe you've already tried tiers 2 and 3, and you're like, what do I do? The answer for you might be, we're not spending time together this holiday season. And that's not because you didn't want to. It's because they've proven that they're unable to respect boundaries or to do what they have to do for their recovery to make that possible. At some point, it's not on you and it's not your fault. And this is coming from me, if someone in recovery. This is how this works, y'all. I know that you want to be kind and loving and forgiving, and you want to throw this stuff out because it's the season of Christmas. But when I'm telling you, if there's a pattern of someone causing a scene, what does the pattern say? What does the pattern say? And you have to respect the pattern. And so once you decide whichever one of these is going to be a fit for you, you have to communicate it. And remember, it's not a negotiation. It's a declaration. This is what we're going to be doing. This is what's happening this year. I love you. And this is the boundary I need to set for myself and for our kids. End of story. Don't apologize. I know it's tough for a lot of you to be a bad guy. You're not really being the bad guy. You're just setting boundaries. The bad guy is the one that walks over boundaries. Okay. Adults, remember, these are adults. They have choices. I'm a grown-ass man. I have choices to make every single day. It's not up to you to make sure that my life is easy. Chances are you've given someone every opportunity in the world to make this right. At some point, you have to have boundaries for yourself. Could be as well as that's what they need to see how bad this has really gotten. No guarantee. It could send them the other direction. Be prepared for that. That's why when we set boundaries, we do it for ourselves. And so you have to also prepare your family. Remember, this may not just be you and your children. You have to talk to your kids and your extended family about this too. They might be asking, don't make it too weird. Just let them know. Dad's struggling right now. We're going to love him, but we're also not going to enable him. This is not an intervention. This is Christmas. So we're going to be kind and we're going to hold our boundaries as a family. Everyone be on board with that. Everyone be on board. This is tough and this is tricky, and there's no perfect playbook for this sort of thing. I think that a lot of times you guys know the answers to this. You're just not exactly sure how to handle it or what you can and can't do. And I find that trust your instincts here, trust your common sense, and trust your gut. Your values will lead the way. All right, let's get into the next segment here in our final segment. And this is for the person that's starting over. This could be either one of you. This could be for the spouse or partner that's recently separated, and this is their first Christmas alone. This could be for the person who's getting sober and who's dealing with the destruction of the past, and they're trying to rebuild their lives. But in the process of that, you ended up getting separated or divorced. And what are those first holidays like? What do you do? How do you handle this? And it's tough, man. There's no playbook for this one either. Like it's okay to hurt, and it's okay to grieve, and it's okay to think about what was, but you cannot stay there. I think this is the battle between what is often referred to as a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. The fixed mindset says, this is how Christmas has always been, and now it is ruined forever. It's okay to have these thoughts. It's not okay to live in that mindset because it is false. It is false. On one hand, it is okay to grieve what was, sure. On the other hand, it is not accurate to say that it is ruined forever. Things change. This is a new chapter. The growth mindset says that very thing. This is a new chapter, and I get to write it. And you have a choice. You can be a victim of your past, or you can be the architect of your future and what's to come. It's kind of exciting in that regard. I just want you to reframe this. So the first sober Christmas is a lot of ways, it's a rite of passage. It's not a punishment. This is you taking responsibility and taking charge of your own life and of your recovery. And it's a declaration that you are strong enough to do this on your own. And the same goes for spouses and partners that are no longer in a relationship and who could not have imagined walking forward without that person. Things had gotten so bad, maybe the damage is just too great that you two are unable to reconcile. And you're going to go through a period of grieving as well. But just for you, just as much, this is also a rite of passage into your new life and walking through that pain. The only way out of it is through it. It will be rough, but you're not going to be alone. We've got a community of people who are eager to get to know you and to understand what's going on with you because they're going through the very same thing. And there's strength in numbers and there's power in numbers. We would love to have you guys in there. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but on our website, you can find our free Facebook community, completely free. Answer the questions when you come in. We want listeners in there. So if we ask, how do we greet people? It's welcome back, or hey, y'all. That's usually what Paige says. Most of you answer that with hey, y'all, because you love Paige's episodes, as I do. She's awesome. But anyway, this is a declaration of how strong you are and how you are able to move forward in spite of everything that has happened. And you are able as well to do this on your own for now. Maybe it's not that way forever, but it is right now. And it is going to be okay. It will not be the same. It will be different, but it will be okay. Promise you. I know the holidays are a time where a lot of us romanticize the past, and why not? Right? Like everyone's most cherished childhood memories were from Christmas times, of Christmas of old when we were happy and carefree in life and things were great. And we remember and romanticize those special moments. It doesn't mean they won't happen again. They're just going to look different. You earmark that chapter of your old life and you can go back and revisit it, but we have to start writing the new ones, and that's okay. It's okay. It's also okay to hurt. So I think you have to create new traditions in a lot of ways. Christmas can look like anything you want it to. And this is kind of where it gets exciting. Let's say there's been something about the way you've done things over the past and you'd like to see things different. Well, guess what? You get to make those decisions now. It's up to you. If with your children, you want to start to set new traditions and new special memories and things that you all do together, that's beautiful. You can start to do that. Same for the person in recovery. If things are a little hairy this first year, maybe you spend it with people you wouldn't ordinarily spend it with. And maybe you guys order pizza instead of having some big dress up dinner or something. Like, there's no right way to do this. It's whatever you decide. And that's awesome in a lot of ways, I think, where we apply our agency to live a life of our, that gives us meaning and purpose. I think it's exciting. I know it's tough to talk about this. On one hand, we're talking about the destruction of a life that we once dreamed of, but there's still so much to look forward to and so much to aspire for. I think that if you just think about it as my life is ruined, you're going to be correct. We would always encourage people here and challenge you to reframe what hope looks like for you and what the future looks like for you. That's what we do here. It's about alchemy. More than anything in the world, this is about alchemy. Everyone's growth starts from their lowest points. Some of the most beautiful things start from those lowest points. This included, I've got those holidays that I can remember that I am not proud of. Things look different now. Things look different and they're beautiful. It didn't feel that way in the beginning. In the meantime, or in the in-between, in the interim, it was still a little bit strange, but things catch on. They get better, but you've got to give it time and you've got to give it a chance. Whether you're someone like me who's sober for the first time this holiday, or you're someone who's alone, not with their significant other for the first time this holiday, you have to give this a chance. Be willing to give it a chance. Be willing to be optimistic. Hold on to some of the most special parts, but start new ones. And that's awesome. I think that's the coolest thing ever. Here's your challenge for this week. I want you to have that hard conversation. You're someone who's in early recovery and you're with, you still got, you're fortunate enough to still have your spouse around. You guys start to have these hard conversations. Start to talk to one another about what support looks like around this time of year. Start to be honest about how you're feeling. Be real with yourself as well. Have an honest conversation with yourself through the stages of relapse, emotional, mental, and then physical. If you are in any one of those things, it's time to start talking with somebody. Start to talk, but who better than the person that is supposed to be your best friend, right? Your spouse, this person that's more than willing to do this with you. Or if you are a wheelie who's on the other side of a relationship, start to do the same, because wheelies, I've recognized that you have your own patterns where things feel really good. You're super enthusiastic, and then something happens. Maybe something from the attorney or the courts or your ex, whatever it might be. And it sends you down this path, this familiar path where you start to neglect your emotional care and your needs. And then it becomes mental. And then it's not so much a physical relapse, but it is like a physical downfall where you will start to hide and neglect everything, and you get depressed and things get really dark. And it takes a lot for you to get out of it. It takes a lot. Like, recognize that in yourself too. So if you're working with a therapist, or you've got support in our community and you've got a circle of people that you talk to, people in your family, whoever, we encourage people to reach out. And that's what the community's for. That's what the show is for. It's to connect people. And I hope that you've connected with somebody that you can feel safe with and you can talk about this kind of stuff with. It's beautiful. Oh, hey, back also to finding purpose in recovery, especially if it's a little bit lonely. There's nothing like serving others during this time of year. Serving someone else, whether that's, if that's in a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen, something like that. Do something for other people. It will get you out of yourself and give you purpose and meaning that you never dreamed you could have before. It will make your problems feel small. I promise you that. It never fails for me. Whenever I start to feel like I've got too much going on, I make myself available for other people and volunteer work, and I feel better every single time. I have never left one of those things thinking that was a waste of time. I feel better about the world in general, not just about myself. I just kind of forget about things and I find a new way to feel grateful for my life. And I feel like I've been useful and I've connected with other people and I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing while I'm here on this planet. It's a beautiful feeling. It's amazing. And there are tons of opportunities this time of year to do things like that. Back to your challenge, have that tough conversation. So have the conversation with your spouse about what you need. If you're the spouse of someone in recovery, it's the conversation where you ask how you can support, and then I would implore the person in recovery to do the same for you. So we're having that conversation as a couple. If you're the spouse of someone in active addiction, this is the conversation where you set that boundary. You talk to your family about everything. You rally the troops. You get support that we're not going to enable. We are not going to make it possible for them to ruin the day for everyone else. We are going to approach this as a united front with love to make sure that the sanctity and the special day is held intact for everyone. Keeps us safe, keeps the children safe, keeps those memories intact without spoiling it because someone isn't willing to respect their boundaries or work their recovery. Have that conversation. And I think that you need to have a conversation as well with your immediate family and maybe even yourself about what you want this new holiday to look like. Again, I think it's kind of exciting to think that you can do whatever you want with it. Like, there are some things that we loved about the traditions, some things we didn't so much. Sometimes we have to put old ones to bed and, bring life to new ones. And we get to decide what that looks like. Maybe you guys start going to the symphony like we do every year. That's a new thing we do. Maybe it's volunteer work as a family. Maybe it's looking at Christmas lights together. Who knows? Whatever it is, you get to decide. I think it's awesome. And there's a million things you can do here. Decide what works best for you. I think that for all the pressure we put on ourselves this time of year, that this needs to be great. And I know that especially if you're in early recovery, or you're newly rebuilding as a couple, or if you're a single mom for the first time, you want everything to be perfect. But I don't think you need to put that pressure on yourself. I think this Christmas, it's about proving to yourself that you can. It's about giving yourself that empowerment that you can do this, whether you're staying sober, whether you're setting boundaries, whether you're doing this alone for the first time. That's what we need to focus on here. We'll get to those Hallmark Christmases again one day. Right now, let's learn how to walk again. Let's learn how to figure this out. Let's learn how to have a plan. Without a plan, this will not go well. Take it from someone who's been on both sides of this thing. And this is my 12th Christmas sober. it's probably my fourth or fifth Christmas with boundaries with someone who's struggling. It's difficult. It's way worse without a plan, but it gets better every single year. In the beginning, I think the most important thing in those first couple of years was that, like, holy hell, I can do this. I want you to know that too. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. And I really do. I think that this time of year, I always try to give people content that I think will resonate. I think this does. I'm doing my best. I also kind of hate doing these like low hanging fruit episodes that have to do with the holidays because there's so many other topics that I want to tackle. But I know that this is immediate to a lot of you and this could be helpful. So I hope that some of you take this, run with it. Maybe some of you think it's ridiculous, but you have your own ideas and this spurred some thought, and that is equally as beneficial. In my mind, I've done my job. I've done our jobs. So I hope it's been helpful. Looking forward to what we got coming the rest of this month with the anger episodes and some more of these. It's going to be awesome. We've got some really awesome things in store for 26 as well. That's all I've got this week. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, I'm Matt, and I'll see you.